What does it look like when a franchise sends a message to the entire league, not in October, not on opening day, but in the middle of a March practice game against the Boston Red Sox? It looks like a grand slam, launched so high and so far, it clears the light tower. It looks like a 23-year-old prospect, a kid who was hitting .193 just 9 months ago, launching a solo shot 425 feet into the Florida sky. And it looks like a 29-year-old designated hitter, written off by 3 different organizations in 2 years, ripping doubles at 105.7 miles per hour like it's 2020 all over again. This wasn't just a spring training game, this was a declaration. And if you weren't paying attention, today we're going to make sure you don't miss what just happened in Dunedin. Hello, Jays Nation. Welcome to Jays Quick News, your go-to spot for the latest Toronto Blue Jays updates. I am fired up today because this team just gave us 3 of the most compelling individual stories in the entire Grapefruit League, all in the same afternoon. And here's the question I want you sitting with before we dive in. When a franchise is built around a World Series run and its supporting cast shows this kind of hunger this early in March, what does that say about where this team is going in 2026? If that fires you up as much as it fires me up, hit that subscribe button right now, and let's get into it. Monday's spring training game against Boston ended in a 7-6 Blue Jays loss, moving Toronto's Grapefruit League record to 2-7-2. Right-hander Cody Ponce, working his first televised start in a Blue Jays uniform, pitched 2 innings, allowed 1 earned run, and struck out 2. His command wavered at times, but this was a building block. A pitcher finding his rhythm under the Florida sun, exactly as the plan requires. The offensive story began in the 5th inning, after Toronto fell behind 4-0. With the bases loaded and 1 out, Nathan Lukes grounded out to bring home Josh Kasevich for the club's first run. Then, with 2 outs and the bases still full, Addison Barger stepped into the box and did what Addison Barger does in big moments. He launched a grand slam off the light tower, a ball hit so hard and so high, it immediately recalled his pinch hit grand slam in Game 1 of last year's World Series, which, for the record, was the first pinch hit grand slam in World Series history. Boston tied the game in the 6th. Nathan Hickey put them ahead 7-5 in the 8th. But Toronto had one more answer. In the 9th, Charles Mcadoo, a 23-year-old non-roster prospect on his first spring with real big league eyes watching, stepped in and drove a solo home run 425 feet. His first homer of the spring, a number that doesn't need context to land. 425 feet is 425 feet. The rally fell short, but the moment absolutely belonged to him. Here's what makes the Barger Grand Slam more than a highlight reel moment. Last season, Barger posted a .264/.318/.512 slash line through the end of July. Legitimate star caliber production. But the second half, he fell to .205/.270/.360. It's been the one knock on him heading into 2026. Can he sustain it? Can he be the full season version of the postseason Barger the whole world saw in October? That grand slam in March, in a game that quote-unquote doesn't count, is Barger's first answer to that question, and it is a confident one. He also hit just .217 against left-handed pitching last year, which could limit his role if the split doesn't improve. So every productive at-bat against opposing arms this spring matters more than it looks. Watch his numbers against lefties throughout camp. That's the real story within the story. And then there's Eloy Jiménez. This man has been through things. The White Sox gave up on him. The Orioles declined his $16.5 million option. The Rays released him from their minor league system in July after 3 months. He spent all of 2025 in the minors, never touching an MLB roster. and came to Toronto in January on a minor league deal as a non-roster invitee. He won the Dominican Winter League round-robin MVP to earn this shot. And now, he's ripping 105.7 miles per hour exit velocity doubles in spring training. Manager John Schneider has said Jimenez has arrived in the best physical shape he's seen in years, with mechanics that resemble his early White Sox days. That exit velocity number isn't a statistic. It's a comeback story, wearing a Blue Jays jersey. Now let's talk about the most under-the-radar bombshell of Monday's game. Charles Mcadoo hit that 425-foot homer, and most casual fans have no idea what it took to get here. This time last year, Mcadoo was slashing .193 with a 36.4% strikeout rate in his first 132 plate appearances at AA New Hampshire. The Blue Jays placed him on the development list. It could have ended there. Instead, he came back and hit .267/.336/.469 with 15 home runs and 19 doubles in his final 83 games, a 132 WRC+. He also stole 34 bases. That is a completely different player from the one who started 2025. And entering 2026, after Erupts Martinez left the organization, Mcadoo is now the best power-hitting prospect the Blue Jays have, the one with the highest ceiling, the one the front office is watching the closest. That homer in the ninth wasn't just 425 feet. It was the latest chapter in a comeback that started in the bullpen of a minor league development program in the middle of last May. There's also a fascinating subplot here. The trade that brought Mcadoo to Toronto was Isiah Kiner-Falefa going to Pittsburgh. And then, at the end of the 2025 season, the Blue Jays picked up IKF off waivers for the World Series push. Toronto essentially got Mcadoo for free, and then got IKF back on top of it. That is championship-level front office work, and Mcadoo's spring is validating every bit of it. Where does this all go from here? The Blue Jays return to action Tuesday in Dunedin, hosting Canada's World Baseball Classic team, with Kevin Gausman making his second spring start. Every inning Gausman logs is another data point toward what Toronto projects as a dominant rotation. But the offensive story this spring belongs to the players fighting for their futures. Barger, trying to prove he can be a full-season force. Mcadoo, pushing toward a AAA assignment, and potentially, if the stars align, an MLB debut in 2026. And Jimenez, trying to remind the league that the guy who hit 31 home runs in 2019 never actually disappeared. He was just waiting for the right moment. The right team and the right spring. What this organization has done, and what Monday's game illustrated perfectly, is build depth with intention. Every player on that field had a reason to be there that went beyond a box score. And when players with something to prove start making noise in March, it usually carries through to October. Jays Nation, this team is not done building. And the best part, the foundation was already proven in last year's World Series. What's coming next is the refinement. A grand slam that echoes October history, a 425-foot answer from a prospect who nearly lost his career 9 months ago. A Silver Slugger winner's power reborn at 105.7 miles per hour. This is what a championship organization looks like when it refuses to stop competing, even in a game that doesn't count. So here's your question for today, Jays Nation. Of these three stories, Barger's comeback narrative, Mcadoo's prospect arc, or Eloy's redemption, which one excites you the most heading into 2026? Drop your answer in the comments right now. If this kind of deep Blue Jays coverage is what you're here for, hit that like button, subscribe to Jays Quick News, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you next time. And Jays Nation, this season is going to be something special.